Sir, keep your hands where I can see them. I already offered my identification.
Why is this happening?
He only came in for coffee.
Maybe we should check the folder. Everyone stay back. You think this is a game? I offered my identification. Stand up now!
Read the document first.
Please don't step on that. Move!
He didn't do anything.
Unidentified male detained for non-compliance. My name is Marcus Hale. I offered identification. Kit's this, 6! Who is this?
Put the detained man on the line.
Don't give them access.
The governor is joining this call now.
What have we done?
Officer Ethan Crow slammed a paper cup onto the diner floor and ordered the quiet black man to put his hands behind his back. The coffee was still steaming. The room went silent. Why would a customer in a plain gray coat be treated like a threat? Why did he keep one folded photograph in his pocket instead of reaching for the documents that could have ended everything? And why did the police chief suddenly go pale when the governor's office called the station? What began as a morning cup of coffee would become the case that exposed an entire department, and the man in cuffs had been waiting for this moment longer than anyone knew. The cup rolled once, tapped the metal foot of a stool, and stopped in a brown crescent of coffee. "Hands where I can see them," Officer Crow said. Marcus Hale set both palms on the diner table, fingers spread beside a torn sugar packet. Steam rose between his shoes. The room smelled of burnt roast, wet wool, and grease under the lamps. "I haven't refused anything," Marcus said. "You refused to identify yourself. I offered you my identification." Crow's partner, Miles Keene, stood by the door near his radio. Behind the counter, Olivia Reed held a glass pot in midair. The handle creaked under her grip. Crow leaned closer. "You think this is a courtroom?" Marcus glanced at the folder beneath the saucer. "No, I think this is breakfast." A sound moved through the diner, not brave enough to become a laugh. Mason Bell, in his green jacket, lowered his eyes. His fork scraped and stopped. Crow heard it. "Stand up. Read the document in front of you," Marcus said. "I'm asking you to stand up." The bell above the door swung in a cold draft. Steam lifted from the floor in a gray ribbon. Marcus buttoned his coat, slow and careful. Olivia found her voice. "Ethan, he paid for the coffee." Crow did not look at her. "Stay out of this, Liv." "He didn't bother anybody." "I said stay out of it." The room shrank. Red booths, cracked tile, the humming pie case. Everything pulled back from Marcus, rain darkening one sleeve. Crow pointed toward the register. "Turn around." Marcus looked at Miles. "Is your body camera active?" Miles swallowed. The light on his chest blinked. "Yes, sir." "Then state the reason for detention." Crow caught Marcus's wrist. "Suspicious behavior. Refusal to comply." "That is not a reason." "It is now." The first cuff clicked louder than the kitchen fan. Someone whispered, "Oh, God." At the last booth, Tanya Brooks fumbled for her phone. Marcus's other hand stayed open against the counter. Near his fingers lay a folded photograph from his coat. A teenage girl's ribbon showed in one corner. A woman's faded smile faced the ceiling. "Pick that up for me," Marcus said. Crow blinked. "What?" "The photograph." The officer looked down. He did not pick it up. Olivia stepped around the counter, but Crow blocked her. "Back up," he snapped. A drop fell from the coffee pot and struck the tile. Marcus kept his eyes on the picture. "Please don't step on it." No one moved. Crow pulled him toward the door. The cuffs brushed the register with a scrape. Mason's hand lifted an inch and sank back down. Tanya's phone recorded only the officer's grip, the silent customers, and steam dying on the floor. At the entrance, Marcus's phone vibrated in his pocket. Once, twice, again. Leah called twice when she was trying not to sound worried. Crow shoved the door open. The bell rang too brightly. Outside, morning light hit the wet sidewalk. Marcus turned enough to see Olivia kneel and lift the photograph with 2 fingers, as carefully as if it were evidence. "Sir," Miles said, voice low, "maybe we should look at that folder." Crow tightened his grip. "We already know what this is." But in the diner window, behind Crow's reflection, Olivia was staring at the seal on the folder no one had read. At 5:52 a.m., Marcus Hale sat in a parked sedan outside the Briar Glen County Annex. Rain tapped the windshield. The heater pushed dusty warmth against his knees. On the passenger seat lay a brown envelope tied with cotton string, its corners softened from being opened too many times. His phone buzzed. "Dad?" Leah sounded half awake. "I'm here." "You sound like you're hiding." "I'm in a parking lot. Morning hasn't signed in yet." She laughed. "You remembered today, right?" Marcus touched the folded photograph in his coat pocket. Leah at 12, missing one front tooth, her mother smiling beside her in hard summer light. "Blue ribbon ceremony at 4, he said. "Front row." "You missed the first speech last time." "I'll be there." The words sat heavier than he meant them to. A delivery truck backed up with 3 sharp beeps. "Is this the hard meeting?" Leah asked. "It's an important one." "That means hard." "It means I listen before I speak." A pause came through the line. "Bring Mom's picture," she said. Marcus closed his hand over the pocket. "Already did." After the call, he left the car on Maple Street and walked with the envelope under his arm. Cold rain touched his neck. A bakery vent breathed sugar into the empty block. At the corner, a patrol car idled beneath a blinking yellow light. The public hearing was later. Donna's last message read, "They're nervous. Come early if you can." By 6:18, Marcus reached the diner with the blue awning and fogged glass. The red open sign flickered as if it were unsure. The bell shook when he stepped inside. Olivia Reed turned from the coffee machine, pencil behind one ear, tired eyes already kind from practice. "Morning. Sit anywhere. Window, if that's all right. Best seat for watching rain do nothing." Marcus chose the booth farthest from the counter. The vinyl was cold through his coat. He placed the folder beside the saucer and kept the envelope close to his elbow. Olivia came with a mug. "Regular?" "Black, please." "Traveling through?" "For a meeting." "County building?" "That area." She poured. The coffee smelled bitter and fresh. "Then you'll need something stronger." "Rough morning expected?" Olivia checked the empty booths. "Around here, if a meeting starts early, somebody hopes nobody shows up." "Do people show up anyway?" "Sometimes." She tucked the pencil tighter. "Sometimes they stop trying." "Why?" Her shoulders changed. "Because when folks complain, they get remembered." "By whom?" Her waitress smile returned, guarded. "You want toast?" "Not yet." When she left, Marcus opened his notebook and wrote 4 words. "They get remembered." His phone buzzed. "Dana, Governor's office wants confirmation." "Are you in town?" Marcus typed, "In Briar Glen." "Listening first." Mason Bell slid into the booth 2 tables away in a green jacket damp at the sleeves. "Rain makes people honest," he said. "Does it?" Nobody pretends they came out for fun. Outside, the patrol car pulled from the curb and rolled past the window. Olivia stopped wiping the counter. Marcus folded Leah's photograph along its crease and slipped it back into his pocket. The coffee warmed his hands. The folder lay closed beside the saucer, waiting for someone to read it. The spoon struck the rim of Olivia's mug at 6:31, a bright note too sharp for dawn. She had been refilling Mason's cup when Marcus asked, "When you say people get remembered, do you mean by name or by car?" Olivia froze. Coffee ran down the glass pot and warmed her knuckles. The bell over the door snapped open before she answered. Rain came in with 2 uniforms and the smell of wet leather. Officer Ethan Crow stepped first, 39, broad-shouldered, hair clipped close, a pale scar crossing one knuckle. Behind him came Officer Miles Keene, 28, narrow-faced and neat. "Coffee, Liv?" Crow said. "Strong. Baines is jumpy about that hearing." The spoon slipped from Olivia's saucer and rang against the tile. Crow's eyes moved to Marcus. "New friend?" "Customer," she said. Marcus closed his notebook. Crow stood at the counter. Water dripped from his cap. "You writing a book?" "Notes." "About what?" "Breakfast recommendations." Mason coughed into his napkin. Olivia set down a mug. "Ethan, leave folks alone before 7. Before 7 is when folks tell the truth." Crow took the cup. "You from around here?" "No." "Passing through?" "Here for the county meeting." Crow made the words sour. "Everybody's here for that now." Marcus rested his hands beside the folder. "Are you expecting outsiders?" Crow's gaze sharpened. "I didn't ask you." "No," Marcus said. "You didn't." The machine hissed. Steam fogged the chrome. Crow stepped closer to the booth. "Name." Marcus waited until the rain on the window became clear again. "Marcus?" "Last name." "May I ask why?" Olivia's fingers tightened around a towel. Miles shifted, the stool squeaking. Crow leaned one hand on the table, near the folder but not touching it. "Because I asked. That isn't a reason. It is in this town." Mason's toast sat dark and cold on his plate. Marcus nodded once. "Then we may have found part of the meeting already." Crow's face changed. Miles sat straighter. "What did you say?" "I said procedures matter more when everyone is tired." "You a lawyer?" Marcus turned his cup handle toward himself. "I've worked around hearings." "Not what I asked." "No." Crow smiled without warmth. "No. You're not a lawyer?" "No. I won't guess which answer you want." The fluorescent light above the register buzzed like an insect trapped in glass. Miles said quietly, "Ethan?" Crow raised a finger. "Let me handle the gentleman with no last name." Marcus glanced at Olivia. The pencil behind her ear trembled. "My identification is in my wallet," Marcus said. "My documents are in this folder. I'll show both." Crow stared at the folder. The cotton string. The official label half hidden under the saucer. He did not reach for it. "Stand up first." "For what purpose?" "For making people nervous." Mason's chair creaked. "Officer, he's just drinking coffee." Crow turned slowly. "Did I ask for a vote?" Mason's hand fell. No one else spoke. Outside, a patrol radio crackled from the cruiser, then cut into static. Crow stepped into the aisle, blocking the path to the door. Miles watched the folder, not Marcus. Marcus slid the folder forward an inch. Crow put 2 fingers on it and pushed it back. "I said stand up." Marcus did not rise. The folder's edge pressed under his left palm, stiff against the table, while Crow's fingers stayed on the other side as if pinning down a live thing. "I'm asking you to read what I brought," Marcus said, "and I'm telling you to get up." For a public meeting? For refusing a lawful instruction. Rainwater fell from Crow's cap and spotted the napkin by the cup. Marcus lifted his hand enough to show the corner of the folder. A blue state seal flashed under the diner light before the saucer hit it. Olivia saw it. Her towel stopped. "My identification is in my inside pocket," Marcus said. "I will remove it slowly. Don't reach. Then read the document. You don't give orders here. I'm not giving one." Crow's jaw worked. "Address. My office address or home address?" "Home." "For what reason?" Mason's cup shook when he set it down. Rain ticked faster on the window, and the kitchen vent pushed a hot onion smell through the room. Crow looked toward the counter. "Liv, you know this man?" "He came in for coffee," Olivia said. "That's not what I asked." "No, I don't know him." Marcus gave her no blame, only a brief nod. Crow raised his voice. "Unidentified male, no local address, asking questions about police activity, refusing instructions." Miles shifted by the door. "He did say he'd show ID." "Did I ask you to write the report?" "No." "Then watch the door." Marcus slid the folder forward. "There are letters in here from residents. Complaints, dates, badge numbers. Residents complain about everything. Some complaints are warnings. Some are lies. Then review them." Olivia reached for the coffee pot and missed the handle on the first try. Glass clicked against metal. Marcus looked at Crow's badge, then at Miles's camera. "Please note that I offered documents before detention." Crow's smile thinned. "You rehearsed this?" "I prepared for a hearing." "You prepared to make my department look dirty." "I prepared to hear why people think it is." Miles's eyes flicked to the folder. 3 words were visible around the saucer. "Public Safety Oversight." Crow saw him reading and slapped the table. The cup jumped. Coffee spilled into the saucer. "Enough." Tanya pulled one earbud out. A man in the back booth raised his newspaper, hiding his face. Marcus kept his hand on the folder's edge. "Officer Crow, preserve your body camera footage and the diner's security video." "My name didn't come from you. It came from your partner's greeting." Miles's ears colored. Crow leaned close enough for Marcus to smell mint gum under coffee. "You think being calm makes you safe?" "No," Marcus said. "I think it keeps me accurate." Only the window sign buzzed. Open, not fully lit. OEN, then open again. Crow pointed to the floor beside the booth. "Last time? Stand?" Marcus pushed the folder forward until it touched Crow's wrist. "Read first." Crow looked at the seal, the string, the words, and for half a second his fingers loosened. Then he snatched the folder and tossed it back hard enough to strike the saucer. Marcus removed his palm from the cover. A pale line remained where the cardboard had pressed into his skin. Crow reached for Marcus's arm. "Now." Crow's hand closed around Marcus's sleeve before the coffee stopped trembling in the saucer. "Out," Crow said. Marcus rose slowly. Sudden movement would give the room something false to remember. His coat brushed the table. The folder slid against the salt shaker. "My wallet is in my inside pocket," Marcus said. "You can explain downtown." "I am explaining here." Crow twisted his arm toward the aisle. "Ethan, please," Olivia said. "Register. Face it." Marcus walked past Mason's booth. Near the counter, the air smelled of hot grease, lemon cleaner, and coffee burned into metal. His reflection in the pie case looked smaller than the officer behind him. Miles stayed by the door. "We should check his ID." Crow turned. "You want to supervise me?" "No, I just—" "Then don't." Marcus placed his palms below the cash register. The wood was sticky under his fingers. "Do you consent to this detention?" Crow asked. "No?" "Then stop resisting." "I'm standing still." The first cuff circled Marcus's wrist. Cold metal pressed where his pulse beat. Mason's fork slipped from his plate and hit the floor. Tanya Brooks lifted her phone. Her purple nails shook. "Is this allowed?" she whispered. Crow pulled Marcus's other arm back. Marcus's phone slid from his coat pocket, struck his shoe, and landed near the register mat. Leah Hale's name glowed against the dark glass. "Dad, where are you?" The message vanished under a call. The phone crawled across the tile. Marcus looked down. Crow clicked the second cuff. "Eyes forward." "That is my daughter. She can wait." "She shouldn't have to." Olivia stepped from behind the counter with the coffee pot in her hand. "Let him answer one call," she said. Crow faced her. "Back. He's not dangerous." "You don't decide that." "No," Olivia said, her voice thin. "You already did." The kitchen fan rattled above the grill. Rain tapped the glass. Miles bent toward the phone, then stopped when Crow's boot shifted near it. Marcus said, "Officer Keene, keep the phone visible." Miles straightened. "It's visible." "Say the time." Crow jerked him backward. "You don't give my partner instructions." Marcus caught the counter with his cuffed hands. Receipt paper unrolled over his knuckles. Tanya's recording began then. Too late for the first grab. Too late for the ignored folder. It caught the cuffs, the phone, Olivia's wet eyes, and Crow's voice flattening the room. "Unidentified male detained for non-compliance." Marcus turned his head. "My name is Marcus Hale. I offered identification at 6:34 a.m. Crow laughed once. "Put that in your video." Tanya lowered the phone an inch, then raised it again. Leah's call ended. A red missed call notice replaced her name. Marcus looked at Olivia. "The photograph." "What?" "In my coat pocket. If it falls, don't let it touch the floor." Crow shoved him toward the entrance. The folder slid from the booth and opened on the tile. Dates, badge numbers, signed statements. Miles stared. "Move," Crow said. Olivia set it down hard. She bent for the papers, but her hand stopped over the visible seal. Outside, blue lights pulsed against the windows, and Marcus's phone vibrated again where no one was allowed to answer it. The cruiser smelled of damp vinyl and old coffee. Marcus sat in the back with his cuffed hands turned sideways to keep pressure off the bone. Rain crawled across the window. The diner fell behind them, blue light flashing over Olivia as she stood in the doorway with the folder against her chest. Crow drove. Miles sat in front, thumb clicking the radio cord. "Time of transport," Marcus said. Crow glanced at the mirror. "You writing minutes now?" "I'm asking you to say it." Miles checked the dashboard clock. 6:47. At the station, the garage door lifted with a metallic groan. Cold air hit Marcus when Crow opened the door. A fluorescent tube buzzed above the booking desk. "Name?" the desk sergeant said. Crow answered first. "Unknown male. Obstruction. Refused. IOID." Marcus turned his head. "That is inaccurate." The sergeant stopped typing. "My wallet is in my inside pocket," Marcus said. "I offered it in the diner. My documents are in the state folder Officer Keene is carrying." Miles held up the folder. Crow snatched it from him and dropped it on a side tray marked "Outgoing." Later. "Please log that folder as property. Please stop performing." A door opened down the hall. Chief Harold Baines came out buttoning his uniform jacket, 56, heavy-eyed, gray hair combed flat. "This from Lila's?" "Diner," Crow said. Baines lowered his voice. "Today?" Crow's jaw tightened. He was asking questions. "That isn't a charge," Marcus said. Baines studied him. "And you are?" "Marcus Hale." The chief waited. Marcus gave him nothing. Crow cut in. "No local address, no cooperation, making statements about oversight." Baines rubbed 2 fingers over his eyebrow. Put him in interview 2. No processing until I see the report. Marcus looked at the tray. Chief, that folder contains material for a public safety hearing set this morning. You can make that statement in the room. I'm making it now. Crow took his elbow. Room. The hall smelled of floor wax and wet wool. In interview 2, a narrow table sat under a humming light. Crow left Marcus in the chair with the cuffs on. Miles lingered at the doorway. Do we take those off? When he stops acting like a committee, Crow said. The door shut. Across town, Leah stood inside Briar Glen High's auditorium, holding a blue program folded into a small square. Principal Nora Ellis, 45, with glasses on a chain, touched her arm. Still no answer? Leah checked her phone. 3 calls. No reply. He promised, she said. Nora looked toward the front row, where one chair had a paper sign taped to it. Reserved. We can hold your speech 10 minutes. Leah shook her head. No, he hates when people wait because of him. Back at the station, Marcus flexed his fingers. The cuff edge left a cold groove around each wrist. Through the wall came Crow's voice, then Baines's. You know who's coming at 10? Baines said. Let them come. You arrested a man carrying oversight files before an oversight hearing. His phone rang somewhere outside the room, muffled, unanswered, then stopped. In the auditorium, the empty chair in the front row stayed facing the stage while Leah smoothed the crease in her program with both hands. The folder sat in the outgoing tray until Crow moved it with 2 fingers, as if paper had dirt on it. A brown ring from coffee spread across the top flap. The state seal showed through the stain. Baines saw it. Don't leave that there. Crow shoved the folder beneath parking complaints. It's not evidence. It came in with him. He brought it to make a point. Ethan, I need facts. You've got facts. Stranger in Lila's, no last name, refusing instructions before a hearing designed to ambush us. Miles stood by the copier. He gave a name. Crow turned. You want to write your own report? Miles looked down. No. Then stop helping him. In interview 2, Marcus heard chairs scrape through the wall. His cuffed hands rested on the table, wrists aching where the metal had settled into the same groove. The light buzzed, went quiet, then buzzed again. Crow entered with a form and a black pen. Sign. Marcus read the first line upside down. Voluntary statement. Remove the cuffs and I'll write my own. You can dictate. No. Crow put the paper in front of him. You confirm you refused to identify yourself and became argumentative during a lawful inquiry. Marcus looked at the pen. That sentence is false. It's a summary. It is a confession for something that did not happen. Baines stepped in, collar wrong at the throat. Mr. Hale, sign acknowledgement of conduct. We process a citation, and you leave before this grows. Marcus raised his eyes. Before what grows? Baines did not answer quickly enough. Before the hearing, Marcus said. Crow laughed. Everything's a hearing with you. My documents are not in the room. They're safe. Where? Crow tapped the paper. Sign first. Marcus leaned back. I will not sign a lie to make your morning easier. For a second, only the vent moved the air. At the governor's office, Dana Wilkes walked past glass rooms, phone to her ear. No, he did not miss calls, she told Aidan Clark. Marcus Hale does not miss a briefing. Aidan's voice crackled. His last text says Briar Glen. Call the annex? They say he hasn't arrived. Call the diner. All of them. Back in the station, Crow placed the pen between Marcus's cuffed hands. Last chance. Marcus did not touch it. Note the time I refused to sign. Miles stood in the hallway. Baines noticed. Officer Keene, check the lobby. Miles hesitated. Chief, the folder has a seal. Crow snapped. It has a sticker. It said Public Safety Oversight. The room changed by 1 degree. Not enough to free Marcus. Enough to make Baines glance at the hallway. Marcus turned his wrists so the cuffs did not scrape skin. My daughter is trying to reach me. That's not our problem, Crow said. No, Marcus answered. It became yours when you took my phone. The station phone rang. Once, twice. Then a clerk called from the front. Chief, County Annex asking for Senator Hale. Baines went still. Crow's eyes narrowed. Probably another activist. Marcus looked at the stained folder half hidden on the desk outside. The coffee ring had dried over the seal, but not covered it. From the lobby came the clerk's voice again, smaller this time. Chief, they say the senator never arrived. The clerk's words stayed in the hall after her voice stopped. Baines stepped out of interview 2 and pulled the door until a line of light remained. Who called? County Annex, the clerk said. They asked for Senator Hale's security contact. Crow gave a short laugh. People call themselves anything now. Miles did not laugh. His eyes moved to the tray where the stained folder sat half buried. Baines pointed at him. Find the property log. There isn't one yet, Miles said. Crow turned. Because he isn't property. The folder is, Miles answered. Inside the room, Marcus listened through the thin wall. His hands rested on the table, joined by steel. The cuffs had warmed against his skin, but when he moved, cold came back in a clean ring. His phone rang beyond the door. Once, twice. Then it stopped. He closed his eyes long enough to see Leah under auditorium lights, searching the front row with her program folded in both hands. The door opened. Crow stepped in first, Baines behind him. Let's clear something up, Baines said. Are you connected to the senator's office? Marcus opened his eyes. I told you my name. That's not an answer. It was the first answer I gave. Crow placed both palms on the table. You expect us to believe you're Senator Hale? Marcus looked at the form he had refused to sign. I expect you to verify before you detain. Baines's mouth tightened. You could have said more. I offered documents. You could have made it easier. Marcus turned his wrists, and the chain scraped the table. For whom? No one answered. Baines ordered Crow into the hall and stayed with Marcus. The chief lowered his voice. If this is what you say it is, I need you to help me contain it. Marcus studied the older man's face, shaved too quickly, collar uneven, eyes fixed on the clock. Take them off, Marcus said. Baines exhaled. I need cooperation. You need the truth preserved. I'm trying to keep my department from being destroyed by a misunderstanding. Marcus lifted his hands an inch. The cuffs flashed. This is not a misunderstanding. It is a record. Baines looked toward the door, then left without touching the keyring. The room sealed itself around Marcus. The vent breathed cold air over his damp coat. A bleach smell rose from the table. Somewhere a printer started, stopped, started again. He shifted his hands and felt the metal groove bite where his pulse had beat all morning. Slowly, using 2 fingers, he worked the photograph from his coat pocket. It caught on the lining. For a moment, he could not pull it free because the cuffs shortened the distance. He tried once. The corner bent. He stopped. His breathing sounded too loud. Not that, he whispered. The photograph came loose at last. Leah at 12. Her blue ribbon. Her mother's smile, faded where sunlight touched the print. Marcus laid it flat and pressed the bent corner down with his thumb. The phone rang again outside. He did not ask. Through the wall, Crow's voice rose. Chief, you start acting scared. He wins. Then Miles, quieter. What if he's telling the truth? Marcus looked at the red marks forming at his wrists beside the photograph. The cuff line matched the crease across Leah's face. Tanya watched the video with the volume low, but Crow's voice cut through the diner. Unidentified male detained for non-compliance. Her thumb froze. Rain tapped the front glass. Olivia stood behind the register. Mason had not touched his toast. At the back booth, Reverend Paul Mercer, 58, silver beard above a worn coat, leaned closer. Play the part where he talks. Tanya dragged the bar back. The image shook. Marcus beside the register, shoulders straight, hands cuffed behind him. My name is Marcus Hale. I offered identification at 6:34 a.m. Olivia set the pot down. Glass struck the saucer with a hard click. He said the time, Tanya whispered. He knew we'd forget, Mason said. Olivia turned toward the receipt spike and pulled out one thin white strip. The paper was warm from the machine. 1 black coffee, she read. 6:22. That proves he was just sitting here. It proves when I served him. Olivia looked toward the camera above the pie case. And that should show the folder. Mason's head came up. I thought that camera was dead. No, I changed the card Monday. The Reverend slid from the booth. Then we don't wait for courage twice. Tanya opened a message thread, then stopped. The phone felt slick in her palm. What if they come back? Olivia looked at the folded photograph beside the register, its bent corner held flat under a spoon. They already came for him. No one moved. Tanya pressed send. Her finger trembled so badly she hit the corner of the screen first, then the arrow. The upload bar crawled forward while a cruiser passed outside. Every head turned, then every face turned away. What was the meeting? Reverend Mercer asked. Public safety oversight, Olivia said. It was on the folder. Tanya searched. There's a Senator Marcus Hale listed as chair. Mason stared at the empty booth. Can't be. The video replayed before anyone touched it. My name is Marcus Hale. Olivia covered her mouth. The Reverend took out a small notebook. Call his office. I don't have the number, Olivia said. Tanya found it and held out the phone. The line rang through the diner speaker. This is the office of Senator Marcus Hale, a man answered. Aiden Clark speaking. Olivia closed her eyes. My name is Olivia Reed. I work at Lila's Diner in Briar Glen. I think your senator was arrested here. Silence flattened the line. Aiden's voice returned lower. Say that again. He came in for coffee. Officer Crow took him. He had an official folder. I saw it and didn't say enough. Do you have proof? Aiden asked. A video, Tanya said. A receipt, Olivia added. Maybe security footage. Do not delete anything, Aiden said. Send the video to this number. Keep the original. I'm contacting Dana Wilkes now. What if we're wrong? Mason murmured. Reverend Mercer looked at Marcus's cold coffee. Then we correct it. If we're right, silence has already done its damage. Tanya pressed send, and the little blue line shot across the screen. At the Capitol office, Aiden Clark, 36, thin, red-haired, with reading glasses in one hand, stood so fast his chair rolled into the wall. Dana, he called across the corridor. You need to hear this now. Dana Wilkes reached Aiden's desk before his chair stopped rolling. What happened? He turned the phone toward her. The diner video shook sideways. Crow's voice came through tinny speakers. Unidentified male detained for non-compliance. Donna's face changed at the next line. My name is Marcus Hale. I offered identification at 6:34 a.m. Send it to me. They have receipt and security footage. Donna dialed. Her sleeve dragged a folder from Aiden's desk, and she let it fall. At Briar Glen Station, the phone rang with a steady office tone. The clerk answered, listened, and covered the receiver. "Chief, Governor's office." Baines looked at Crow. Crow shook his head once. "Put it through," Baines said. Dana's voice arrived cold. "This is Dana Wilkes, aide to Governor Hart. I need to speak with the man detained from Lila's diner." Baines shut his door halfway. "Ma'am, we have no confirmed—" "His name is Marcus Hale. He is expected by the governor in 40 minutes. Crow stood outside the glass, arms folded. Miles watched Baines's hand hover above the speaker button. "There appears to be confusion," Baines said. "Then clear it. Now. We are verifying identity." He offered identification at 6:34 a.m. Baines went still. Donna continued. "I have video from the diner and a call from his office. Put him on." Crow pushed into the room. "Chief?" Baines covered the receiver. "Not now. You give them access. They run the story before we know what he was doing." Dana's voice cut through his fingers. "I can hear you." Baines removed his hand. "I need a minute. You've had 42. In interview 2, Marcus heard footsteps outside. The photograph lay flat on the table, Leah's ribbon crossed by the cuff chain. Baines entered with a key ring. "We're removing those." Marcus held out his wrists. "Log the time." Crow leaned behind him. "You don't dictate procedure." Marcus looked at Baines. "Procedure is why we are here." The first cuff opened with a dry snap. Marcus flexed his fingers once. When the second came off, he folded the photograph and put it in his pocket. "There's a call," Baines said. "For me?" "Yes." "Then bring the folder." Crow blocked the doorway. "We still need a statement." "You need the report preserved." "You think you're walking out?" Marcus stepped closer. Crow had to choose whether to move or touch him again. Crow moved. At the chief's office, the phone speaker glowed red. "Senator Hale?" Donna said. Marcus looked through the glass at Miles, the clerk, and the tray where his folder sat under parking complaints. "I'm here." "Governor Hart is joining in 2 minutes." Baines gripped the back of his chair. Marcus said, "Before she joins, secure every recording from this building, every radio log, and every property movement. The diner video request must be handled without Officer Crow contacting witnesses." Crow's face tightened. "That is outrageous." Dana answered first. "That is now the governor's instruction." The office went so quiet, the fluorescent light sounded like rain. Miles stepped into the doorway, holding the stained folder. Coffee had dried over the seal, but not hidden it. "Chief," he said, voice barely steady. "I found what he asked us to read." "Read the seal out loud," Marcus said. Miles held the stained folder in both hands. The coffee ring had dried across the flap, but the blue seal still showed beneath it. Baines opened the string. The first page rasped free. "State Senate Committee on Public Safety Oversight," he read. Crow's mouth tightened. The phone speaker crackled. "Chief Baines," Dana said. "Governor Hart is on the line." A second voice entered. "Senator Hale, are you hurt?" Marcus looked at his wrists. Red bands circled the skin where the cuffs had sat. He adjusted one shirt cuff over the mark, then stopped and left it visible. "No, Governor, I am able to continue." "That is not what I asked, Marcus." "I was detained," Marcus said. "Denied access to identification and documents. Preserve the records before anyone explains this away." "They will be," Evelyn Hart said. "Chief, secure body cameras, booking logs, radio traffic, lobby video, interview room video, property movement, and every call since 6:15. Baines swallowed. "Yes, Governor." And Officer Crow will have no contact with witnesses. Crow stepped forward. Governor, this subject refused. This senator, Evelyn said, will not be called a subject on this call. Marcus slid the pages back into order. The paper trembled once against his thumb. Miles noticed. The clerk in the hall looked away first. Baines reached for his keyring. Senator, I apologize for the confusion. Confusion reads documents, Marcus said. This avoided them. Crow gave a sharp laugh. So this is political. Marcus turned to him. No, this is chronological. What happened first matters. Baines opened the door. Officer Crow, step into the hall. I'm not being set up. No one needed to set up a camera you wore yourself, Marcus said. No one spoke when Marcus walked out. Cold air touched his wrists. At the front desk, his phone lay beside his wallet. 4 missed calls from Leah, 1 from the school. May I call my daughter? Baines nodded. Of course. Crow stood 3 feet away, suddenly still without the cuffs in his hand. Leah answered on the second ring. Dad? I'm here. You missed the first award. I know. Are you okay? Marcus looked at the red line around his wrist. The diner floor, the photograph, the empty chair, all moved through him. I'm coming as soon as I can, he said. That's not what I asked. He closed his eyes. Like her mother, straight to the bruise. I'm standing. A small sound came through the phone. He kept it private by saying nothing. Baines waited near the desk. Senator, if you need transport, I need my folder logged properly, my property returned on camera, and every witness contacted under protocol. Then I need a car to the school. Dana spoke from the office. Do not leave without a written record. Marcus ended the call and placed the phone face up on the desk. Miles stepped forward. Sir, I heard you offer ID in the diner, and here. Crow turned. Miles. But the younger officer did not step back. Marcus nodded once. Then write that before anyone asks you to remember it differently. Outside, rain slowed to mist. Through the glass, Baines reached for a blank evidence form with hands that no longer looked steady. By 11:57 a.m., the county council chamber had run out of chairs. People stood along the walls with wet coats over their arms. The air smelled of damp wool, toner, and coffee. Phones glowed low in palms. The microphone squealed before Olivia Reed said her name. She flinched. Closer, Councilman Victor Ames said. 51, square-jawed, red tie too bright for the room. The record has to be clear. Olivia Reed, waitress at Lila's Diner. Retired Judge Elaine Porter, 67, silver hair pinned tight, sat beside him as independent observer, pencil moving when someone used a precise word. Did the detained man cause a disturbance? Ames asked. Olivia looked at Marcus. He sat at the end of the long table, gray coat behind him, wrists uncovered. Leah sat 2 rows back, hands locked around her program. No, Olivia said. He asked questions. Quiet ones. Crow sat near the side aisle. Baines stood behind him, face gray. Did you know who he was? No. Then how could Officer Crow know? The room stirred. Porter lifted her eyes. The issue is whether he had grounds. Olivia swallowed. He offered documents. I saw the seal. I didn't say enough. The microphone hummed around the last sentence. Marcus lowered his eyes, not to excuse her, but to hold the fact still. Tanya Brooks came next, purple nails chipped on her phone case. I started recording late. Why? Ames asked. Because I waited for someone older to do something. No one laughed. She played the clip. Crow's voice filled the chamber. Unidentified male detained for non-compliance. Then Marcus's voice. My name is Marcus Hale. I offered identification at 6:34 a.m. Leah pressed the program against her knees. Video begins after physical contact, Ames said. That's why I gave you the camera file, too, Tanya answered. Reverend Mercer took the chair after her. I saw a man ask for procedure. I saw the room decide procedure was less important than a uniform. Reverend, we need facts. That is one. Porter's pencil stopped. Let the answer stand. At 12:29, Miles Keene stepped to the microphone. His uniform seemed too stiff at the shoulders. Crow did not look at him. Did Senator Hale offer identification? Ames asked. Miles's throat moved. Yes. When? In the diner. Again at booking. Did Officer Crow read the folder? No. Did you? Not until later. I heard him ask for the time, Miles said. I heard him ask that his phone remain visible. I did not intervene. The chamber changed. Not louder. Heavier. Marcus spoke at last. Officer Keene, who taught you that silence was safer than correction? Baines closed his eyes. Miles gripped the microphone base. Everyone who survived probation. Leah's program bent under her fingers. Marcus turned to the council. Then this hearing is about what young officers think they must swallow to keep their jobs. Ames started. Senator, with respect. With rules, Marcus said. Respect comes later. Porter marked the video, receipt, body camera logs, and property sheet as exhibits. When the folder was placed before her, the coffee ring showed plainly across the state seal. She touched the edge, but did not lift it. This will stay visible until every witness has answered. Inspector Helen Sato arrived at 2:14 p.m. She was 48, small-framed, removing one glove finger by finger before touching evidence. The room smelled of damp coats, coffee, and projector dust. Start with the diner file, Sato said. Tanya's video filled the screen. Crow's shoulder blocked half the frame. Then Marcus's voice came through. My name is Marcus Hale. I offered identification at 6:34 a.m. Sato paused it. The frozen frame caught Marcus's hands behind his back, Olivia's mouth half open, and Leah's photograph near the register. Who heard that sentence? Makil sat at the far end. I did. Crow folded his arms. The clip starts after warnings. Who heard it? Sato repeated. I did. Did you write it? No. Why? The air conditioner clicked on. Paper corners lifted. Officer Crow was primary. That explained sequence, not silence. Crow leaned forward. He followed command. Command did not erase his ears. The lobby camera came next, gray and soundless. Marcus stood under fluorescent light while Crow placed the folder in the outgoing tray. Sato froze the image as his hand covered the state seal. Chief, where's the entry? Baines shifted. There wasn't one. Why? I accepted Officer Crow's description before verifying. Through the glass, Leah waited with Dana, blue program folded in her lap. Marcus sat opposite them, wrists uncovered, a blank legal pad before him. Sato clicked to body camera audio. Stand up first, Crow said. For what purpose? Marcus asked. For making people nervous. Sato played it again. For making people nervous. Crow's face colored. That was shorthand. For which statute? Marcus asked. Sato kept writing. The recording is answering. The next file showed Interview 2. Marcus sat at the narrow table, cuffs on, a statement form in front of him. Crow pushed the pen closer. You confirm you refused to identify yourself, Crow said. That sentence is false, Marcus answered. Sato paused with the pen between Marcus's bound hands. Baines spoke first. Inspector, I believed we had a misunderstanding. Marcus looked at the blank pad. Contained from whom? Baines stared at the screen. From the public. And from the hearing? After the projector fan clicked twice, Baines said, Yes. Crow pushed back his chair. I saw suspicious conduct and acted. Sato slid Olivia's receipt forward. Coffee at 6:22. Security shows him seated until you approached. Body camera shows no threat. Your report omits his name. The station log calls him unknown after documents were present. He was baiting us, Crow said. Marcus picked up his pen. By asking you to read? Sato arranged the exhibits into 3 stacks. Preliminary finding. Report incomplete. Property handling improper. Detention continued after identity could reasonably have been verified. Miles stood so fast his chair struck the wall. I want to amend my statement. Crow said, Sit down. Miles did not. I heard him. I saw the seal. I stayed quiet. Sato nodded once. Then we write that before anyone asks you to remember it differently. Outside, Leah looked up as the door opened, and Marcus saw in Sato's hand not an apology, but the first page of a public record. The first page of the public record lay under Marcus's hand at 4:06 p.m., warm from the copier. Dana had cleared a conference room in the county annex. Rain slid down the windows. The air smelled of paper, cold coffee, and lemon polish. Governor Evelyn Hart stood at the head of the table. Marcus, we can suspend Crow, open the inquiry, and let counsel handle the rest. That protects the file, Marcus said, not the next person at a counter. Baines sat across from him without his hat. Miles stood by the wall. Evelyn looked at the draft order. Then tell me what you want. Marcus slid his legal pad forward. First question before first command. If someone offers ID or documents, the officer reads them or records why not. No continued detention when identity can be verified. Property gets logged on camera. Disputed contact gets supervisor review within 1 hour. Civilian observers. Councilman Ames shifted by the door. That is a lot to build from one incident. It is built from 47 complaints in that folder. Leah sat with her blue program on her knees, the award ribbon crooked on her blouse. Inspector Sato entered with 2 stapled pages. Preliminary recommendations. Crow. Administrative leave pending termination review. Baines. Command review for failure to verify, log property, and attempted containment. Keene. Remedial training, with cooperation noted. Miles lowered his eyes. Baines pressed his thumb into the table seam. Will this hold? Evelyn asked. Sato removed her glasses. It will be challenged. The recordings will hold longer. Marcus looked at Baines. Chief, your department releases the public report. My people will think I handed them over. You handed them uncertainty. Give them rules. Olivia stood near the back with Tanya and Reverend Mercer. The city watched him get taken for coffee, she said. Her voice shook, but she did not take it back. The signing moved to the council chamber because people filled the hall. Phones rose as Evelyn sat at the table. This order takes effect tonight, Evelyn said. A full rule package will be filed within 30 days. She placed the pens above the signature line. For 1 second, it stopped. The whole room leaned toward that black point. Then she signed. Leah looked at Marcus, not at the cameras. He flexed his fingers, the cuff marks faint now, but visible. Afterward, Miles approached near the aisle. Sir, I don't know what to say. Marcus buttoned his coat. Say it sooner next time. Miles nodded once. I will. Baines came last. I can't undo this morning. No? I can release the report by Friday. Do that. Outside, the rain had ended. The steps smelled of wet stone and spring dirt. Dana carried the signed order. Sato sealed the evidence list. Leah walked beside Marcus, her award ribbon fluttering. "You missed my speech," she said. "I know." "You still made one." Marcus glanced at the signed order. "Not for applause." Leah slipped her program into his folder, beside the stained seal. "Then keep mine there too." Inside, the blue program covered half the coffee ring, not hiding it, just sharing the space. Across the square, Lila's Diner glowed under a repaired sign, and for the first time, nobody shouted his name. 3 months later, the bell over Lila's Diner rang without warning. Marcus stepped in first, then Leah, carrying 2 books against her chest. The morning had no rain in it. Sunlight crossed the red booths, and the repaired open sign hummed in the window. Olivia looked up from the counter. For a second, her hand stopped around the coffee pot. Then she came over with 2 cups and set them down without spilling. "Black coffee?" she asked. Marcus nodded. "Please." Leah slid into the booth where the folder had once sat. "This is the place?" "This is the place," he said. Olivia put the cup in front of him, handle turned toward his right hand. "It's on the house." "No," Marcus said softly. "Let me pay for it." She understood after a moment and placed the check beside the saucer. Across the room, Mason Bell raised 2 fingers from his newspaper. Tanya Brooks sat near the back with a laptop open, editing an interview for her campus journalism class. Reverend Mercer had started meeting residents there every Thursday morning, not to collect anger, but statements. People wrote dates now, badge numbers, times. The coffee cooled untouched, while Marcus took a folded photograph from his pocket. The corner was still bent. Leah touched it with 1 finger and smiled at her mother's faded face. "Mom would have hated all the cameras," she said. "She would have told me to stand straighter." "You did." He looked at the cup. "Not every minute." At noon, the city released the final report. Crow was terminated after review for unlawful detention, false reporting, and improper handling of property. He appealed, as the rules allowed, and the record remained public. Baines was removed from command and reassigned pending retirement review. Miles Keene kept his badge only after supervised duty, testimony training, and a written admission that silence had helped the harm last longer. Inspector Sato's recommendations became policy in 4 counties before summer. Officers had to document the first question before the first command. Offered identification had to be reviewed, or the refusal recorded on camera. Property logs moved to open counters. Civilian observers received monthly reports. At the high school, Leah gave the speech Marcus had missed to a smaller crowd after the ceremony. This time, he sat in the front row. Her blue program, the one she had tucked into his folder, was framed in his office beside the coffee-stained seal. Visitors noticed the stain first. Marcus never explained it unless they asked. One evening, Olivia mailed him a letter written by a truck driver stopped outside Briar Glen. The new supervisor review had ended the contact in 14 minutes. The man had written 1 line at the bottom. "Someone read my papers before deciding who I was." Marcus folded the letter and placed it behind Leah's program. Later that week, he and Leah returned to Lila's before sunrise. No reporters came. No phones rose. Olivia poured coffee and left them with the quiet. Leah watched steam rise from his cup. "Does it still feel like that morning?" Marcus considered the question. The grill hissed. A spoon tapped glass behind the counter. Outside, a patrol car passed slowly and kept going. "Some mornings," he said. She reached across the table and turned the cup handle toward him, the way he liked it. He picked it up this time. The coffee was warm. If this story stayed with you, share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever seen someone judged too quickly, silenced by authority, or protected only because one witness finally spoke up? Your story may help another viewer feel less alone. Share this with someone who believes dignity and justice matter even in ordinary places, at counters, in offices, on streets, and in small rooms where no one expects the truth to survive. Subscribe for more stories about justice, quiet resilience, and the kind of systemic change that begins when one person refuses to disappear. Thank you for listening until the end.